point.
my issue is, and
Good point.
I'll verbalize it this way. A lot of these folks that, let's call them, let's say they were on the left, a lot of these people used to be kind of live and let live sort of people.
Right.
That idea has left their mind completely. They want to force you
Mhm.
to accept them. That's not very live and let live sort of
Right.
attitude. I'm
Right.
all for live and let live. If you want to do whatever, do whatever. Just don't force me to believe a certain way. Okay? Because their freedom
Right.
to be who they are includes my
Mm-hmm.
freedom to be free from who they are.
have a very alarming topic for you.
You can see it now here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The women riding world is changing by the second due to trans pushing their political beliefs among one of the biggest women riding organizations worldwide. And I blurred it out because we're not going to release anything until a couple of conversations I had just for respect for the girls and the people that are involved. Here in Fort Lauderdale, one of our founders were forced out because a trans was upset that she didn't want to do political rides or anything to do with the movement. So the trans said they felt threatened and unsafe. So they kicked the founder out without discussing with other founders. Imagine a woman rider being kicked out because they were not woke enough. It says, I have.
So, in short, and Julie, you correct me if I'm wrong, the woman president or the woman head of the club got kicked out because she offended a trans person who's not a
Right.
woman, by
Right.
definition. All right. So
Right.
before
Right.
we get to that, we've done a lot of episodes here. Just so you know, I don't know if you are able to watch the podcast all the time, but we've done a lot on these specific topics with the Bud Light
Yes.
controversy and everything. So we're
Right.
well versed on the politics surrounding this. So go ahead and tell us the specifics of the story. What exactly happened here?
So what happened was, Ghost got it pretty accurate, but there are a few things that is not very clear. So there is a group that is international group for women, and they started in 2000 and I'm going to say 15, I think, around that time.
Okay.
Now, when they started, a lot of women were pretty excited because they're like, oh, this is just a writing group that anybody can join, and it's basically for women to empower each other and teach them how to ride, or just it's all about writing. That was it, right? Women and writing. So I started basically the South region, here in Florida back in the days, and that's how I met, a couple of my girlfriends. I'm sure you guys know Pammy. That's how we met, and basically it was about that. It's just about women supporting women writing. That was it, and we're talking international. We're not talking just the States. We're talking
Right. So
internationally.
this club's a big deal.
It is. It is a big deal. A lot of people speak of being, part of them and so forth. But recently, one of my girlfriends, she wanted to start one up and do a Fort Lauderdale region one, and she was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you
Sorry.
know,
Let
mhm,
me let me ask you that. So Fort Lauderdale's right up the road here. It's
yeah,
literally like a mile from the Petersons, where Harley Davidson, where you and I hang out all the time. So
right."
you were very close to these actual people, to this
Oh
club.
yeah, yeah. She hit me up asking me, "What do you think? Should I start one?" My girlfriend that I'm talking to, she wants to do it, and I'm like, "Hey, listen, if you're about helping other women writing, and having a good time or getting to know people and stuff, then go for it." She was hesitant in the beginning because she didn't want any politics, because sometimes people think, oh, a writing group is like an MC,
Right.
and it requires this or that or blah blah blah. And I was like, no, 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 it's just a group, it's just a bunch of girls, and you decide when to write and you don't. So anyway, she did. So her and her friend and another girl, because it has to be three people to start a group. So they
Mhm.
started, and they were having a great time. It was a great time. A lot of girls were starting to join and so forth. Then one day, one of the co-founder, which was her friend, she called her and said, "Oh my God, guess what? We got one of them." And she's like, "One of what?" She goes, "We got our first trans." You know, she was very excited about it. It was like, you know, a big deal, right? so, you know, everything went forward. She joined
And
and
for the
so
record,
forth.
up to this point, I
Mhm.
have no problem with this. If the trans
Sure.
wants to join the women's riding club, as long as the
Right.
club is okay with it, fine. Because
So
the
be
way
it,
most
right?
motorcycle clubs work, yeah, exactly. Most motorcycle clubs don't just let anyone in. They won't let you in
Exactly.
for a myriad of reasons. Actually, a lot of clubs won't let you in if you
Exactly.
don't ride a Harley. So
Exactly.
they can
Exactly.
not accept you for any reason. But
Exactly.
if they're okay with accepting a trans person, I have no problem with it. Let them,
Yeah.
whatever. That's up to the club. So,
Yeah.
Justin,
And that's,
what do you think about this so far?
No, I think you're on point with that.
Okay.
yeah, because it's
I
just a
want to
group.
clarify that I don't think any of us here, we don't have a problem with
No.
the whole trans thing. It's just that it's like they're trying to come in and just tear everything apart. Like, we're okay with the way things,
Yeah.
with how they are. Leave them
Well,
Good
alone.
point.
my issue is, and
Good point.
I'll verbalize it this way: a lot of these folks that, let's call them, let's say they were on the left. A lot of these people used to be kind of live and let live sort of people.
Right.
That idea has left their mind completely. They want to force you
Mhm.
to accept them. That's not very live and let live sort of
Right.
attitude. I'm
Right.
all for live and let live. If you want to do whatever, do whatever. Just don't force me to believe a certain way. Okay? Because their freedom
I
to be who they are includes my
hmm
freedom to be free from who they are.
Do you
Whether
I
I
guys
agree
think this
100%.
do you
okay,
guys think that this whole woke craziness is going to come to a head? Because I feel like slowly, like, people are starting to wake up to the wokeness and being like, "What the hell? What are we actually doing here?"
yeah.
Right. Don't you
Do you
feel
think it's
like
going
they're
to come to a
being,
head?
yeah, don't you feel like they're trying us? Like they're seeing how far we can take
Yeah.
this? Like,
Push, yeah.
you know, like it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to be up there, you know, in advertisement. Now Ford just started. I mean, come on, I mean, it you makes you kind of wonder and think about what is actually going on. You know, like who's the money man back here
I don't
to
know.
back this up for a company to see already what has happened, you know, and it has how it failed,
And for other
right? And then
companies,
all of a sudden Ford is like, yeah, let's do it too, you know, like
and
doesn't
Ford
make
is
sense
another
to me.
brand. Ford's another brand that, just like Bud Lights, they rely heavily on men. The best-selling car in
Mhm.
America is the Ford F-150, and it's a majority that owns that are men.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all
So let me
right, let's
get
keep going
back
with
to
the
the story.
yeah, yeah.
So so what happened was, well, they started having meetings, you know, started getting together. And so when they gathered together, she was starting to ask, you know, the trans, she was starting to ask women there, hey, what are your pronouns? You know, so she asked this lesbian woman, and she was like, I'm too old for that. You know, I don't have pronouns. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm here for writing, and
Yeah.
that's it. You know, it's like this
For
is a
the record,
writing
that's the
group.
right
There's
attitude.
no politics. There's no nothing.
Mhm.
You know, everything's cool. So I guess that hit her in the wrong way. And also, my friend also made a point and said, hey, listen, guys, let's keep away from the politics. Let's not talk about this on the chats. You know, let's just keep it straight. We're just talking about bikes, and that's it, you know, and riding. That's it.
Could you
That's all we're
imagine
gonna.
how crazy we would sound if anything that we did in life, we would go into it and be like, everyone has to be straight. I don't care. Like, I don't want no gayness. I don't want no lesbians, no trans. Like,
Well,
this
we
is the way it
cancel.
has to. We'll get canceled immediately in life. In
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
Yep.
And so because she did that, and because she was saying, hey, let's just keep it bikes about bikes, you know, let's not talk about anything else, because she was trying, the trans was starting to tell her story, or how things happened, or how she got there. She started talking about her medication. She was getting, you know, crossing boundaries, you know, how and so forth. A lot of people were not comfortable with all of that. And you have to realize there's a lot of people who are not comfortable with it. We don't know it. We don't, some people don't really understand it. But that doesn't mean that in due time, being a friend or just writing or getting to know the person, then you get a feel of what's really going on with that person, you know, or what are they about. Well, that didn't sit well with them. They didn't like that at all. They didn't like the fact that people were like uncomfortable with the whole thing. They even put out a questionnaire asking all the girls, hey, how do you feel about this? You know, do you feel like you're in a safe space? Do you feel like you can be open about things, you know, and be yourself? And most of the girls were like, this is ridiculous. You know, why are we doing this? This is all about writing and that's it, you know, having a good time.
Do you know before she was accepted in, did the entire club or all the members of that chapter, did they all vote?
No, I mean, remember, it's a group. It's not a club. It's nothing. Anybody can join. There's no rules. There's no, you know, this or that. It's basically, you know, you just join and so forth, right? So, so then they started calling my friend transphobic. Oh, so you're transphobic, you know, that, and it's like, no, it has nothing to do with being transphobic.
It's just all that
hey,
has nothing to do with the club.
Period. Let's just ride, right?
Yeah.
So then they took it a step further, and I guess the girls that, you know, were telling her she's transphobic or whatever, went behind and contacted the corporate office and told them, listen, this is what's going on. You know, she feels threatened. She doesn't feel safe because she can't talk about this or that. And so without even investigating or without even going further or without even talking to my friend or talking to the other officers that were there,
Let me guess, they
without
had a
any
major
of that,
reaction and they just kicked
yeah,
everybody.
they just told her, listen, you just need to step down. You know, you can't be part of it anymore. So, and that makes a problem because when you are trying to fit in, right? Or you're trying to get people to see you for who you are, right? And accept you and understand you, right? You would think that you would be more patient with people. You would think that you'd be a little bit more, you know,
Exactly.
and you know, take your time and with people because it's very new. So you would show them, you know, without being aggressive about it and being like, oh, well, you know, if you can't agree with me, then this is what's going to happen, you know, or I'm going to just explode. And because of that, I don't know, maybe 15 girls left, you know, they just left because they didn't see that that was fair, you know. And my biggest issue is that, you know, like when I was growing up and when I was young and I was going to school, I was going on a you know, it was a man's world. It was architecture, and I was very few of the women. But I wasn't going around trying to, you know, bust doors or force myself. I would show, you know, hey, I'm just trying to do my thing here with you guys. I'm not here to threaten anybody. I'm not here to do anything. I want you to see me as a person, right? Not as a female, not as a male.
I'm sure at that
You
point
know?
you wanted to be seen as the best architect, period. You didn't want to be the first female architect or the first
exactly
woman.
Sure. And at that time there were men
themselves.
well, yeah, because there were men that were really old school and they were like, oh, well, what is she doing here? But you know, you don't do that. You know, you try to make people see who you are, what you're about, that you're no threat. But the way that this happened was like, wow, now everybody has a bad taste in their mouth, right? Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, that trans or that thought, I thought, you know, you created such a negative instead of doing such a positive.
Yeah, you know, and actually, I think Jay Blaze says it right here. This behavior causes hate, and he's absolutely right. When they behave like this, it doesn't help their cause. It makes people hate them even more. But
what's happening?
Ultimately, I think that's actually what they want because they want people to see them as victims. So the more people that are out there that are hating on them, the more they get seen as victims. So
they're coming in.
They're
coming into everything, kicking and screaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my mom's best friend for the longest time. He's gay, and he's been around since my mom was in high school. I wasn't even born, and they
Right.
were close, best friends. So I considered him like an uncle my whole life. And yeah, he was a little feminine in the way his body language was, and a little bit in his voice, but he wasn't over the top. He was what I like to call an old school gay, where he's still a man, but he's just
Right.
got that feminine trait. And those are the gays that were cool. Like,
Yeah.
they stayed quiet for so many years, and they're finally accepted. Finally.
Mhm.
They didn't go out there kicking and screaming. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like a slow.
It's almost like they need outward validation from people.
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm saying like that
Right.
that the gay community gained respect slowly because they got
Mhm.
normal people used to it.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Just
what's
like,
funny is, Mhm.
sorry, let me throw this point in here. PDA, public displays of affection between men and women, let's say in the middle of the mall, can make people around them very uncomfortable.
right.
But and you can say something, whatever. But if you dare get uncomfortable by two men or two women doing public displays of affection, it no longer becomes the fault of the public display of affection. Is the fact that they're gay, or at least that's the way they see it. So now
Yeah.
you're homophobic.
Right.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, Julie, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. I mean, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say.
People love just because of that.
But
Yeah,
but it's true. So that's what happened. Oh, now I remember. And in the chat, because there's chat room, right?
right.
Randomly, the trans would put she would put oh, just got attacked, or just got this or that in the street or whatever, and randomly, and it's like, wow, where is that coming from? Like, okay, like, I'm always getting attacked in the street and this and that, and it was just like you said, it was like almost for us to be like, oh, what, I feel bad for you, or this or that. I can understand you reaching out to certain people that you feel close in the club or in the group, but to put it out there as a whole, it's kind of, it's just doesn't sound right.
I don't know.
Doesn't feel right.
I see a lot of cries for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I
Most
think it's
definitely.
they want to be victimized and they want that attention. They want to feel like victims.